With it being time to repaint my inner fenders, I went over to Space Age Paint in Mesa, Arizona. And like the sign says, it's the auto paint supermarket. They have just about everything you would need to paint your car. They have also fasteners and weather stripping and all kinds of stuff. And I needed my paint custom match because I don't know what color it is, and I know it's not Admiralty blue, so I needed them to match up the paint. And their staff is pretty good at it, and I trusted them to do it. Taking things apart to get access to the fender, there's a lot of surface rust on everything, the shims, the bolts. As you can see, there's some rust on the inner fender there underneath where the bolt washer was. And I put some plastic down to try to keep all the sanding dust away from the engine bay. Since we'd spent a bunch of time cleaning it up, I wanted to try to keep it neat. And some of the areas are just really bad, and they just had to be repainted. Sanded some of the areas down, and there's a little bit of rust pitting. And there's a lot of bare areas where the paint had chipped away. And I taped the top of the fenders so I didn't get any sanding up on the edge of the fender. But there, all those spots there, those are all down to bare metal where the paint had been chipped really bad. Same there, bare metal where the paint had been chipped. And I went through a lot of sandpaper. My fingers were sore. And this is the point where I did the engine run. I pulled all the plastic off. And it came time to get ready to primer, so I used a bunch of paper and plastic. I slid the paper underneath the fender, so to keep some of the overspray down, I didn't want to have to repaint a bunch of stuff. And you use spray primer. I mean, it's a rattle can restoration, right? So we're using spray cans for everything. And this is after sanding. Sanded all the primer down, and then I pulled the paper off. And the edge of the hood is sanded. Same thing with the tape. I did the tape to protect the areas I don't want to scratch up. And covered up the top of the hood so when I primer, I don't get any overspray up there. And primered the edge of the hood. And you can see where the tape's down over the edge a little bit. When I pull that back, I'll use some 320 and then some 600 grit and feather that primer into the color. Here are all the fasteners. I've cleaned them. I'm getting ready to repaint them flat black. And some of this stuff was I just couldn't use it. I just threw it away. And it's time to paint. Got the doors open. Pretty early in the morning, so it's still fairly cool. And we're using rattle cans. It's a catalyzed acrylic paint. It's a urethane, but you have to wear a respirator with it because it's a catalyzed paint and the stuff's really dangerous. It's hard on your lungs. You pull that red cap off, and then you stick it on the bottom of the can, and you stick it right there, and there's a plunger there, and when you press down on the plunger, it ruptures the catalyst container, and then you can mix the catalyst with the paint. And the nozzle on the paint, you can aim it two different directions. You can have a vertical spray pattern or a horizontal spray pattern. And the first can, I used a vertical spray pattern. And then on the second can, I changed it to a horizontal spray pattern. And it worked pretty well that way to get into all the little crannies and little voids and small areas that you couldn't hit with the vertical spray pattern. After painting, I pulled all the paper and the plastic off. And wow, just what a vast improvement. And all the fasteners have been repainted, and I'm ready to put the hardware back in. You can see how much nicer it looks. The fasteners are the right color. They're flat black. Should be black oxide. And then the clips and the bolts, and it looks pretty good. It's really getting hot, and I'm having to work on this car early in the morning. I'm getting up around midnight and hitting the garage. But the painting's done. So now to the hood, I got to paint the bottom of the hood. I got to get the hinges restored, and I need to try to get this stuff done so I can shut the car down for the summer before it's just too hot.